Hello everybody, this is Kyle Ott of Draftradio. We are doing another M15 draft because you people can't get enough of this format. While we're taking this time to look at the pack, I thought I'd say thank you to all of the people who've been watching it and making it a success. Albeit a small success, but still a really good success. We're greeted with a lackluster first pack. A Roaring Primadox, Dissipate, Void Snare, and Hornet's Nest are probably the four best cards. There's also a Sign in Blood, which ranks in the top 5 black commons of the set. I will take Hornet Nest because it's kind of cool, and because there's really nothing else of any real interest in the pack. Alright, well, pack 2 is looking similarly weak. The best card in here is probably Furnace Whelp, followed by Carrion Crow, Generator Servant, and then a tie, I think, between Borderland Marauder and Charging Rhino. See, Charging Rhino is actually a really good 5-drop, and Borderland Marauder is a pretty decent 2-drop. But I think it's fine taking an evasive or 4-drop flyer. I mean, you can pull out some pretty ridiculous wins with Furnace Whelp. At least I have. Alright, let's see what else we got. We have an Oresco Swift Claw, which doesn't really go well. There's also a Welkin Turn, which I think is pretty late. Welkin Turn is generally a first pick card. There's also a Gravedigger. I have been in black so many times in this format that I just literally can't keep track of it. The sheer number of times that I have played black. Like, I even did an F&M 3 days ago when I played black both times. I drove back-to-back drafts. Probably the best card in the pack is still Welkin Turn, so that's what we're going to take. Okay. Well, there's a Shadow Cloak Vampire and a Stab Wound. I think those of you who played Return to Ravnica remember Stab Wound being the most busted piece of jank ever, and so that is what we're taking. And no, I don't mind being in 4 colors in our first 4 picks. I'm perfectly fine being open, generally at the start of it. There's no real point, and honestly, signals so far have been black is open and nothing else, which is generally how it works on Tapped Out, which is a shame. There's a Nightfire Giant, which I don't mind taking. Certainly it goes very nicely with our Stab Wound and our Furnace Whelp. I think that's what we'll... Although there is a Grind Clock, which is a nice alternate win condition. However, I don't think Grind Clock is necessarily better than Nightfire Giant, and so Giant is what we will be taking, although Grind Clock is by leaps and bounds the second best card of the pack. Well, there is a second Stab Wound, otherwise I would be grabbing that Flesh to Dust like it was my job, but we're taking the Stab Wound here. Nice little alternate win condition, sort of shunts our opponent's creatures, and we're in black, I guess. Alright, folks, we're most certainly in black. There is another Gravedigger, and that is perfectly fine. You can bring back our Nightfire Giant, or a Hornet's Nest, or Furnace Whelp, or Welkin Turn, as the case may be. I'm not picky. Ooh, now this is certainly interesting. Paragon of Fierce Defiance is probably going to be our pick. It's most likely the best card in this pack, although I have to say, the more I play with and against Rotfeaster Maggot, the more impressed I am by the card. There's also a Rummaging Goblin and a Lava Axe, which is familiar is fine, but we'll take the Paragon. Unmake the Graves is up for consideration. However, I think the card that we're going to take is Crippling Blight. Crippling Blight's nice because it lets us get past those pesky blockers. If our opponent has something that is super threatening that has 1 toughness, we can kill it. Although I guess Unmake the Graves is pretty unreal too. It really depends. I guess I could take Unmake the Graves, and then if I want to go black-green, I can. And if I need it for attritions, yeah, we'll take Unmake the Graves. Well, I was going to take this Necrobite, but that's a really late Borderland Marauder. Maybe 7, 8 times out of 10, this is a 3-2 for 2. Plus in a set where we can Convoke, it's nice. So that's what we'll grab. Now we can also grab another 2-drop in the form of Bronze Sable, but I think what we'll take is the Mind Rot for our sideboard. I do like Mind Rot quite a bit, and I'm sure we can get a Bronze Sable some other time, so that's what we'll take. Really happy to see that Scrapyard Mongrel, although it bums me out because we passed the Bronze Sable, but even if I just have a 4-mana 3-3, that's fine. We're taking Nimbus of the Isles because it's the best card, and then Chrono Stutter because there's nothing else in the pack. Alright, so I think at this point we're in black-red, although... maybe we can splash for Hornet's Nest. I don't see a real reason to do that. So we're just going to hide Hornet's Nest and move on with our lives. An interesting pack. Llanowar Wastes is fine. But we already got a Mind Rot. Gravedigger is fine as well, but we'll take the Blastfire Bolt. I would like to have at least one more way to reach out and touch something. So removal is important in draft. Very important. So we're taking the Blastfire Bolt. Wow, that's a really late Ancient Silverback. This is a first pick quality card. Silverback is just busted, man. This card just wins games. It used to be a rare in 9th edition, and then it just became an uncommon because I don't know why it's an uncommon in all honesty. It's incredible. We could take another Blast Firebolt, which I certainly wouldn't mind. I don't mind grabbing another way to reach out and touch somebody. There's also a Necrogen Scudder and a Krenko's Enforcer. I think I'll take the Scudder. Krenko's Enforcer is fine, but I like 3-mana 3/3 flyers. There's some great stuff in this pack still. Sunblade Elf is really nice. Wall of Mulch I actually like quite a bit. Living Totem is fine. There's another Rot Feaster Magnet, but we'll take the Flesh to Dust. Always good to shore up our removal. Our removal suite makes me feel a little bit better about not grabbing that Blast Firebolt last pack. Wow, Mercurial Pretender and Joryubai Murklurker are still in the pack? Man. Is Blue-Black still open? I mean, I can always splash for Pretender, too, if I get, like, an Evolving Wilds. Yeah, we'll take Pretender. That's fine. Because then Divination is definitely better than Forge Devil. Ooh, now this is tough. See, I can take a Child of Night or an Accursed Spirit. And I think I'm actually going to take the Child of Night. My 2-drop slot is pretty weak. Anyway you slice it. And it's nice having 2-drops. It's good. You should have some 2-drops. Alright, now I can take Rot Feaster Maggot, which I don't mind so much as I'm looking at my curve, or a second Blast Firebolt. We'll take the Bolt. Bolt is better. I'll take another Divination. It's a pretty late Amphin Path Mage. Encrust is actually pretty decent if I want it. See, this is what I could do. I could just take the Scrapyard Mongol, the Marauder, the Paragon, and the Whelp out, and then just play blue-black, and then have 2 mountains, and then 2 Blast Firebolts, and splash for those, in which case Encrust is better. Or I can leave my Scrapyard Mongrel in. I think we'll just try and go red and see what happens. Yeah, at this point I think it's a little too late to splash for these, but, you know, what do I know? Although there is a second Divinate. I already have 2 Divinations. I'll take a Hydro Surge. Negate. Okay, so blue is really open there. Interesting. Very interesting. Signals are a little all over the place, but that's okay. Not too concerned, I don't think. What do I like better? Nimbus? Well, let's hide let's try Hydro Surge. We can hide the Mind Rot. Did we already hide Mind Rot? I didn't. Where the heck did my Mind Rot go? Oh, there it is. I could take, we'll take Citadel and then Statute of Denial. So what we could do is we could scrap these is 2 Divinations, a Welcome Turn, and a Mercurial Pretender and a Path Mage. Better than 2 Blast Firebolts, 2 Scrapyard Mongols, a Paragon. I don't think it is. I'll leave Pretender in there in case I actually want to splash for it, but... Ooh! Doozy of a first pack. Just let me hide this Divination, and then we'll go right back to it. There's an Ob Nixilis. That's what we're taking. Card is absurd. Papa Senger, man. Papa Senger is real good. So that's what we're taking. Interesting. Very interesting. There's a Master of Predicaments. I have no idea what the person next to me took over Master of Predicaments, but that's what we're taking, I think. Alright, so maybe we are on the Let's Splash Red plan. I'll put the Blast Fire Bolts in here, and then I can add this stuff back into it. I'll play Hydro Surge. Actually, I don't mind Hydro Surge. There's a Void Snare, which I like. Coral Barrier, which is quite good. Nimbus is fine. Although I think Welcome Turn is just better than Nimbus. There's also Necromancer's Assistant, but I'm going to take the turn. Ooh, Into the Void is sweet. Alright, grab an Into the Void. Well, I wish we would have been getting good commons like this for a while, but we just haven't been. I'm not going to take the Inferno Fist. What I'm going to take is a Willforged Golem. It's going to make those Welcome Turns do a little bit more for me in the late game, so that's what we'll take. Ooh, I can splash for a Lightning Strike too, they say. Well, we need a way to splash for it. We need like a Meteor or an Evolving Wilds or something. So I'm just going to take the Path Mage, and if we don't get something like that, then we don't, and I'll be okay anyway. Peel from Reality is fine. That's what we'll take. Oh, there's a... Wow, that's a really late Broodkeeper. Yikes. But we'll take Paragon of Gathering Mists. I think that ship has sailed just a little too much. Second Encrust is fine, in which case I can just take these Blast Fire Bolts out. Because I have 2 Encrusts now. Although not necessarily the same thing, but Void Snare is fine as well. And I should have enough creatures, I think. Let's do a creature count real quick. Paragon, Pathmage, Golem. 2 turns makes 5, Nimbus makes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 13 creatures. So not ideal, but I have a second Pathmage and a Divination 2 to run, so that's also fine. Wow. So blue went from being not open at all to being super open. I mean, Peel from Reality is a fantastic common. Encrust isn't great, but I mean, I'll run it. I could take another Nimbus of the Isle. However, I think I want a Coral Mage. My 3-drop slot is a little lacking. And Coral Mage does allow me to get some good stuff for my Golem and holds down the ground. I think that's what we'll take. Aeronaut Tinkerer is fine. I'll hate draft this Hammerhand and then the Rummaging Goblin, and I think we're going to be okay. So that was strange. I'm honestly weirded out by how that draft happened. Generally speaking, that's not what happens, but it's just where the cards went, I guess. Oh, we had 2 people drop. Well, that explains why I got the really late Master Predicaments. This is how I justify this for online practice. Someone is going to drop from a Moto game just because they crash. Alright, so we've got 2 Divinations, Into the Void, and Void Snare. I think I'm fine leaving all 4 of my sorceries in there. I thought I had 2 Encrusts. Guess not. My second Encrust isn't showing up. Did I not take a second Encrust? Maybe I didn't. But a Nimbus of the Isles, Flesh to Dust, that brings us to 19, 22, 25, 27. So I just have to cut 4 cards. I think that's fine. I can easily cut 4 cards. I think I can cut Hydro Surge. I can probably cut Hydro Surge. Yeah, I'll cut Hydro Surge. I like Peel from Reality. And then I can cut Unmake the Graves. I'm actually going to make, again, as always, guys, you should always be sideboarding. I know a lot of people neglect that in their limited game, but that's not what you want to do. Sideboarding is how the pros win games, and it's how you should win games. I mean, I win enough FNMs that I know that how to sideboard pretty correctly. So we're also taking this Aeronaut Tinkerer out. He's just a 3-drop, basically. Although I guess maybe we could leave him in. Maybe there's an argument for just having a Riot Devils in the deck. Because I'm pretty... No, I have plenty of... Well, let's check. How many 3-drop creatures do I have? 2, other than Tinkerer? Yeah, that doesn't seem great. That doesn't seem great to cut him. Even if I'm not going to gain any incidental value out of him. Yeah, I'm not positive about what I want. Yeah, we'll cut him and we'll see what happens. If I need a 3-drop, I'll side him back in again, and that'll be fine. Our sideboard looks pretty good. We've got a Mind Rot, we've got a Negate, we've got Hydro Surge, Unmake the Graves, and then we have an Aeronaut Tinkerer just in case. Let's refresh this bad boy and see how we're feeling. 18, 21, 23, 24. So I have to cut 1 more card. Man, Master Predicaments, Mercurial Pretender, and Ob Nixilis, plus a Nightfire Giant. That just seems good. Maybe I can cut my Encrust. Although I don't really have many ways to deal with things. I've got Bounce. I have Bounce, 2 Stab Wounds, and a Flesh to Dust. Is that good enough? Yeah, that's probably good enough. So we'll side out the Encrust, and we'll see what happens. I'm actually going to play 1 Mountain, or maybe I'll play 2 Mountains. I don't have too many double casting cost cards. I have Ob Nixilis, and I have the Master Predicaments, but... No, I will. I think I'm just going to play 1 Mountain. And the Mountain exists for 2 reasons, or for 1 reason, I should say, is our Nightfire Giant. Being able to use that, it's kind of like splashing. It's better than splashing because our bomb is actually not dependent on the color mana that we're splashing for, which is really good. That's exactly where I want our deck to be. Maybe I should take Peel from Reality out. Actually, looking at my early game, I'm actually going to take Peel from Reality out and put Encrust back in. I don't have too much to be... Normally with Peel from Reality, you want to be bouncing cheap creatures. And like Welkin Turn's not going to be blocking anything on the ground anyway. So, and I've already got Bounce. Encrust actually deals with something, whereas Peel doesn't. So I'm actually going to take Peel from Reality out. I almost did something very silly and left Peel from Reality in. And that would be really silly, guys. It would be. If you really want to abuse that card, you need a lot of cheap creatures. Add our sideboard, because sideboarding is important. Obviously, gotta get your sideboard on. And then we already had our Peel from Reality. Is there anything else on the sideboard that I want to have? Oh, I guess Statute of Denial is probably good. There's also Chrono Stutter, but you know what? Screw it. I'm putting the whole sideboard in. Because here's my thing. If we actually wanted to, we could probably just side into an entirely different deck. Think about that. Let that sink in for a moment. We can sideboard into an entire deck. That actually seems pretty cool. Peel from Reality, Hydro Surge, and I don't remember what the other one I cut was. But what we're going to do is we're going to do 9 Island. If I can ever spell island right. 9 is land. It's like that Sylvan Learning commercial. Anyone remember those? Those were weird. Cool, but weird. And 1 mountain, just for our big boy Nightfire Giant. Save our deck. Aeronaut Tinkerer. Well, I knew I didn't spell it correctly, so. Oh, is it Aero? Like Aeropostale? Sad that that's the first thing that comes to my mind, but it is. Aeronaut Tinker. Come on, baby. All right. Well, now we're going to the Google. Oh, because it's Tinkerer. Hoo-hoo. Getting fancy with it. This has been less of Adventures in Magic and more of Adventures in watch Kyle not be able to spell. Alright, and that's our sideboard, and we should be excellent. I'm excited to see how this deck plays out in round 1. As always, guys, I will see you in our first match.